Let me ask you something. Who here has already heard the words artificial intelligence? Raise your hand. Yeah, everybody, right? Who has seen a movie about artificial intelligence? Who can tell me what it actually is? No one. That's actually quite amazing that this technology has become so pervasive in everything and nobody's able to explain what it means. So let me give you a simple definition. Artificial intelligence, for me, is about reproducing human behavior in a machine. That's it. And there are many techniques that exist to do that, one of which is called machine learning. The idea of machine learning is that rather than program a computer to do something, you're going to give it examples of the behavior, and it's going to learn to reproduce that behavior based on those examples. Show it 10 pictures of a cat and tell it it's a cat, it's going to recognize cats in pictures, a bit like a kid. What's really amazing about machine learning is that for the first time, we no longer need human experts to understand the behavior and program the computer. Anybody could start teaching computers to do something just by showing it how to do it. And within machine learning, there is one type of algorithm that's called deep learning, which is very popular today. So deep learning is a branch of machine learning, which is a branch of artificial intelligence. And deep learning is what we've been using for things like self-driving cars. You see those cars that drive better than humans that you see everywhere around you right now. It's also what we've been using for medical diagnosis. There's a company today that offers a completely automated medical diagnosis of your x-rays for $1. Can you imagine what that means for access to healthcare when it only costs $1 to actually analyze a picture? It's also what we've been using for those voice assistants that everybody has now. You see those small boxes that people talk to, like the one from Amazon and Google. This is amazing. Those voice assistants are the fastest growing consumer product in history. The fastest growing than smartphones. And it's what we've also used to beat the world champion at the game of Go. This was actually quite interesting. The way it worked is they took one artificial intelligence and they made it play against another artificial intelligence. And every time one of them was making a move, the other one was giving it feedback. This was good, this was not very good. And by mutually reinforcing each other, those two AIs learned to play the game better than any human would. 2 years ago, this AI played against a world champion. And it won 4 games out of 5. So the human won 1 game out of 5. And so people thought, okay, we're still good. Humans are not useless. We can still beat machines, 20% of the time. But the same AI kept learning and learning and learning. And today, no human can beat that AI at any game. But there is more. There is a new version of this artificial intelligence that beats the artificial intelligence that beats the human at every game. So it's going crazy. It's like going exponential. And this is something that's getting a lot of people scared. They're thinking, are we losing control of artificial intelligence? Are we going to be replaced? Are humans going to be useless? What you first need to understand is that everything we talked about here is something that we call narrow artificial intelligence or weak artificial intelligence. The machine might be very good, but it's only good at doing one thing. It doesn't know how to generalize what it has learned. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's just basically a very, very specialized, very limited intelligence. On the other hand, there is what we call general artificial intelligence. It would be the ability for a machine to do any logical task, including reasoning and intuition. And with artificial general intelligence, we're told AI could do anything. But still, what we see in movies is something more. Those robots that pretend to be humans, they're not just logical, they're also using artificial emotional intelligence somehow. And this is why I'd like to define a third type of artificial intelligence, which I will call artificial human intelligence. It's the ability to do any logical task and also any emotional tasks. My belief today, we will never be able to have artificial human intelligence. because emotional intelligence will never be reproducible in a machine. So what is the difference between AI and human intelligence, and why do we care? Here's a very simple example. This is a trap for autonomous cars. The car drives better than a human. It sees a dotted line with a white line around it. This is legal. It goes through. But then once it's inside the circle, it becomes a solid line with a dotted line. You can't cross that. This is a paradox. And however smart you are, there is no logical way to escape that trap. The best AI on the planet would still be stuck in that circle. As a human driver, you would be driving, you would see this, you'd be thinking, this is absurd, it makes no sense. And you just drive by. That judgment wasn't based on logic. That was based on your understanding of human culture. This was a decision you made based on emotion and understanding of being human, not based on logic. And so however smart machines get, they're never going to be able to escape those traps. And as humans, we will be able to create them. So why can't we create artificial human intelligence? First, because it would require recreating artificial consciousness. Who knows what consciousness actually even means? We can't even tell if animals have it. How are we even going to start creating artificial consciousness? This makes no sense. But we also know, we've known for a few years, that humans who don't feel emotions, some of them have a neurological problem, they don't feel emotions, are incapable of making decisions which are not logical. So they can do mathematics, they can do reasoning, but they cannot choose between chicken and beef because there is no logic to choose between chicken and beef at lunch. It turns out that emotional intelligence is necessary for humans to actually make decisions. So you would need to recreate emotions in machines to replicate that. Some people actually argue, well, emotions, consciousness, they're just, the result of the connectivity in the brain. And so if we recreate the connectivity in the brain, consciousness and emotion will just come naturally. This is a very reductionist approach that doesn't take into consideration something that's very important, that your brain isn't just like in some kind of box, it's in a body. And your body perceives the world in a very specific way. You touch the world with a specific sensitivity. You see the world with a very specific wavelength. In other words, you need to recreate the 5 human senses in a machine for it to actually use its intelligence and interpret it the same way a human would. If you take out the senses, you're taking out the understanding of what it means to be human. But on top of that, let's not forget that we're not just individuals. Our intelligence is collective. We have culture. We have things that a group of people think about together. And however good machines might be at collaborating, they're still not going to have the understanding of human collective intelligence. So we would need somehow to represent that in a machine as well. And importantly, there is also a massive energy problem. Today, the human brain uses 20 watts of energy. That's amazing when you think about it. For a machine to actually have the same number of neurons and connectivity as a human brain would require 10 million watts. That's the power output of a small power plant for one AI. So we would also need to solve energy. That makes no sense. And so you see, if we're going to go to the trouble of recreating artificial consciousness, recreating artificial emotions, recreating artificial senses, recreating artificial collective intelligence, and figuring out the energy problem, well, we might as well just have a kid. So this is not the first time that we've been sort of trying to fit human intelligence in whatever theory was, the norm. 2,000 years ago, people thought everything was a fluid, and the human intelligence and brain was just fluids moving in a box. Then, back from the time of Descartes, we thought everything was mechanical. Some people argued that your brain actually was just like small cogs moving inside, your skeleton, and that this is how intelligence actually came. Okay. Then we thought, no, it must be electricity because we have electrical impulses happening, and therefore everything is electricity. Not quite. Then we thought, no. Actually, the telegraph is a great way to represent the brain because it's all about communication. We're communicating information between neurons. The telegraph, that machine, was thought to actually be a good way to represent human intelligence. Then we thought it was computers. Already since the 60s, people have been saying the brain just processes information. But guess what? When you open up a brain, you don't see the same thing as a computer. It's just not, there is no hard drive, there is no, CPU, it just doesn't work like that. And today, it's artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's just, historically speaking, we have this tendency to try and explain complicated things using the modern technologies. But we know now that human intelligence is something more. And that's why I really don't believe that those scenarios you see in movies where artificial intelligence takes over humans is ever going to happen. I've been building those technologies people are scared about for 15 years. And I can tell you, none of the other researchers in my field believe that this is ever going to happen. General intelligence, yes. Human intelligence, no. And so AI might be amazing at doing logical tasks. That's already huge, by the way. When you think about how many logical tasks you're doing in your own job and you're replacing all of that by a machine, that's an enormous part that you're doing. AI will do logical things, while humans will do emotional things. And because decision-making requires emotional intelligence, humans will decide, in most cases, not machines, humans. And so rather than think machines are better than humans, or we have a fight between humans and machines, we should perhaps start thinking that we should combine humans and machines, that we should use the super powerful emotional intelligence of humans with the super powerful logical intelligence of machines, because the combination of the two is going to be better than either of one of them alone. So why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because since I was a kid, I've been told the future would look something like that. This is a sci-fi movie, right? Tall buildings, metal everywhere, technology, this very interface. But come on, honestly, who wants to live there? Be honest, raise your hand if you want to live there. Yeah, nobody, right? I mean, actually, someone one day did raise their hand. That was actually quite funny. No, of course not. When you actually ask people, what is your perfect life? What is the moment you feel the happiest? Everybody says that. Everybody just wants to be on holiday like when they're at the beach. And this is, for me, the real power of artificial intelligence. By getting us rid of all of those mechanical machine tasks we're currently doing, by taking care of technology for us, by enabling us to solve problems that we could never solve by being a human alone, then perhaps, for the first time, we're going to be able to feel happy all the time, just like when we're on a holiday. Thank you.